Okay, I'm doing my project on Rob Halford. He is one of my biggest heroes in life, and I'll get into why during this presentation today. So, Rob Halford is one of the most iconic vocalists of all time, known for his high pitched screams and driving energy that he brings in the vocals of every song that he sings on. He started his career with Judas Priest in 1974 until 1992 when he left Judas Priest and went on to form a musical group called Fight, um, which only lasted for two albums, and they disbanded in 1995. He then went on to form an industrial music group with one other guitarist. It was called Two, and they made one album, and then disbanded. And he went on to work on a solo project in 1999. He made one album that came out in 2000, and eventually in 2003 he returned to Judas Priest and continues to perform with them today. So you may be wondering why he's relevant to this class. Um, and that is simply because of a very important event that happened in February of 1998, which was Rob Halford came out as gay. This is why he's one of my biggest heroes, is because I'm bisexual and I have dreams of being a death metal vocalist. And seeing a metal vocalist who is gay, who was able to become one of the biggest of all time, and not let his sexuality hold him back, it gives me a lot of inspiration, and I look up to him so much. So for his musical significance, Judas Priest is very important in the world of heavy metal because they were one of the bands that really defined the genre of heavy metal. Because the '70s when metal started to branch off from rock and roll, and it was led by bands such as Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, and Motorhead. Black Sabbath is credited with inventing metal in 1970 when they released their self-titled album, but Judas Priest is also, but it was with the help of several bands, and Judas Priest is one of the other biggest bands that helped develop it. Um, Heavy metal at the time and still today was very focused on masculinity. You had, like, from Black Sabbath, you had Ozzy Osbourne, um, lived a who was very well known for his crazy sex, drugs, rock and roll lifestyle. And from Motorhead, you had Lemmy Kilmister, um, who was also very sex, drugs, rock and roll. You have his look, which is very masculine. And Rob Halford did the same. He would ride a Harley Davidson motorcycle across the stage, and he would dress in all leather. He actually got his stage outfits from an S&M shop. He claimed that it was completely unrelated to his sexuality, although a lot of fans speculated that he was gay because of the way he dressed. However, he claims that it was completely unrelated. However, in the old Priest songs, he does have several innuendos to his sexuality that hint at it. Homophobia and bigotry is something that at the time was very present in the metal world and still continues to be today. Um, if you look at when he came out in 1998. He was already 48 years old. And the reason he waited so long was because, as mentioned in the book Queer, A Graphic History, um, Stonewall happened in 1969, and then and Judas Priest was formed only 5 years later. So it was still a very backwards time. And then the book Queer says that queer activism only emerged in the 1990s. It's and he came out in the 90s, so it was a much more open time when he was much more comfortable and felt able to come out then. Um, and this all can tie into this concept of intersectionalism, which which is brought up in the book Queer: A Graphic History, and it's defined as a con a concept to demonstrate that no one axis of oppression can be regarded separately from all of the others. And you can see this because of how all these relate together. There's masculinity versus femininity. There's sexuality, and then there's just gender in general. Like the metal world was much more oppressive towards women, and it was very male dominated, and it was very heteronormative. And this they all tied into one, and it's a very clear example in the world of rock and metal. And this is a very the very this is important because yes, there people come out all the time, but Rob Halford was so significant because he comes from this community that's so focused on masculinity and heteronormativity, and he came out as gay, and it's great to see someone going against what's normal, going against the expectations of what gay people are like, and it shows that anyone can be gay, and it doesn't affect your personality at all. Here are my citations, and if you have any questions, leave comments. Thank you.